Hello. Hi. What's up? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? What's up, 𝗵𝐴𝗃? Hello. I saw 𝗏 in here, Gala. I thought I saw Cole. Cole, pop in. Hello, Cole. Good to see you. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. You guys can see me. You can hear me. Yay. We're good. We're good. Cole, where you been? On vacation or something? Okay, so what's up? Hello. I hope you guys had a good Wednesday. I just got home from work a little bit ago and now I'm here. We're going to be covering Courtney Clenney, the OnlyFans model who unalived her boyfriend. I'm in the Philippines. Oh, of course you are. Of course you are. Well, I hope you're having a good time. Thank you for being here. So I know the Courtney Clenney case has been a little on the DL, the down low. I feel like sometimes cases get a little quiet just because there's not a whole lot going on. But I think this case is very important and I have covered it before. So if you haven't watched the Courtney Clenney lives, please go back and do so. And if you are new to my channel, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. All true crime here. We're a good vibe, good time. And that's it. It's nice and warm here. Ooh, it's cold out here where I'm at right now. It's pretty cold. So I hope you enjoyed that sunshine, Cole. Again, so we're covering Courtney Clenney. The crime happened in April of 2022. There's been things here and there. She was going to be charged with a felony and her parents were arrested for like tampering with the victim's computer. That ended up being dropped. And then in September of this year, there was another hearing related to privileged information being let out on the case, and she was granted that as well. And so fast forward to here. Today on 12/5, my apologies. Her lawyers have filed a motion to basically remove the prosecution team from Courtney Clenney's case. And if you're kind of new to the case or haven't been following it, it's got a lot going on. There's a lot of parts. When her parents got arrested and the charges got dismissed, I thought that was a big deal. You know, that could essentially in a jury trial factor into people's opinions, in the jury's opinions. And I feel like then the September issue comes along, and again, they're granted that, you know, evidence would be excluded. And now today, we find out that the prosecutor, what's happening here in the document that I'm reading, the prosecutor has been giving information to the detective that he's not supposed to be sharing. It's privileged information. And so my opinion is if the court granted the removal of evidence before to the information being leaked, why wouldn't it would be hard for her to deny this because it's the same thing. Information is essentially being leaked about Courtney Clenney's case in regards to attorney-client privilege work, privileged information. So do I think they're not asking for the court to drop the case, but they're asking to remove the prosecuting office, the prosecutor, which is Khalil Quinan, and the prosecuting team. Sure, they're not asking to drop the case. Do I think it plays a factor into the trial later? Yes, I do think things like this do affect people's opinion in a jury trial. You want to make sure that law enforcement and the proper entities are doing their job correctly. And so I feel like in a murder case, it's a big deal. So we're covering it today. It's fairly short compared to any other documents we read here. You guys know, if you follow my channel, we like to read a lot of documents here. I'm a nerd, so I like to read all of the documents. Hey, Emery, good to see you. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to pull up the document. I do have the hearing where the evidence gets essentially dropped in September. I wanted to play it after I read the document. I just wanted to see how long it took me. I don't think it's going to take me fairly long because if you follow me, you know we get through them pretty quick. We're here for the facts. A lot of the cases I do have documents, court documents for, some I don't. So the ones I do have documents on, I like to speak freely about, since we kind of get the facts right off the bat. So we're going to read this motion. And again, if you're kind of new to the case, just know that Courtney Clenney has been through 2 incidents before where she kind of ends up winning, if you will, her lawyers on basically privileged information. And so we're going to see Khalil, who's the prosecuting attorney, he ends up texting a detective about this privileged information, and we're going to read it in the motion. And you know, my big question is, if you have a solid case, why would you do this as a prosecutor? Why would you risk it for knowing that you're going to get removed, or et cetera, that it's going to hurt such a solid case? Because I think with this case, it's pretty obvious, the body cam footage, all of the above. If you haven't seen that, please make sure you watch the previous video that I have made on Courtney Clenney. I'm working on playlists tonight, and I will put it in as a clip to watch after. We cover her interrogation, and then I got the body cam footage of the crime that day. So nonetheless, if you're a solid prosecuting DA, why would you risk it, right? And so we're going to read the document. It's 15-page. We'll get through it pretty quickly. It is on the screen. Let me know if you can see it. It was filed 12/5, State of Florida versus Courtney Clenney. And it does say, comes now the defendant Courtney Clenney by and through undersigned counsels and respectfully moves this honorable court for an order allowing the deposition of his assistant state attorney, which we will go by ASA, Khalil Quinan, as grounds as the defendant states the following. Courtney Clenney was charged by information with second-degree murder and was arrested on August 4th, 2022, in connection with the death of Kristen Obumseli, which occurred on April 3rd, 2022. Attorney Frankie Prieto was promptly retained by the Clenney family to represent Courtney Clenney, as well as to protect the interests of Kim and Deborah Clenney, which are her parents. This oral agreement was later formalized in written retainer agreement dated September 5th, 2022, covering attorney Frank Prieto, Sabrina Puglisi, and Diana Karames. I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly. The state of Florida is represented by state attorney Khalil Quinan, Sean Abuhoff, and Kathleen Hogue. On November 3rd, 2023, the City of Miami Police Department obtained and executed a warrant for the iClouds of Courtney Clenney's parents, Kim and Deborah Clenney. The warrant was almost identical to one issued in March of 2023, which has since gone stale. The warrant application sought access to the entire iCloud accounts of the parents from November 2020 to present, extending to March 2023 at the time. Law enforcement requested access to the entire iCloud accounts. This included data from 17 months prior to April 3rd, 2022, which is when Courtney Clenney stabbed her boyfriend, Kristen Obumseli, to death. And the data from 7 months, and she claimed self-defense. My apologies. Everything here is my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professional. We're just talking about it. We're reading the document. My opinion is just my opinion. This is when the incident happened. She claimed self-defense, by the way, if you are not familiar with the case. This included data from 17 months prior to April 3rd, 2022 incident, and data from 7 months after Courtney Clenney's incarceration, which she didn't have access to a cellular phone to communicate telephonically, by email, by text, or otherwise. As a consequence of the information obtained from this overly broad warrant, law enforcement accessed privileged communications between attorneys Frank Prieto and Sabrina Puglisi and their clients Kim and Deborah Clenney, which occurred after Courtney Clenney's incarceration. These communications took place in a group text titled, quote unquote, Team Courtney, involving the attorneys, their paralegal investigator, and Kim and Deborah Clenney. This is good. If you've been following the case and you're into like the documents, this one is very important, which is why I'm covering it. Thank you, Emery. Yes, please hit the like button. Support your girl. Hello, Bun Bun. You made it. Hi, Bun Bun. I'm glad to see you here. Okay, let's continue reading this. Prior to the search, Mr. Quinan reached out to undersigned counsel to ascertain what email addresses or numbers needed to be provided to law enforcement with respect to the extraction of Miss Courtney's phone. Understanding this, do you see how they highlighted that? Miss Courtney Clenney's mobile phone. So in the prior hearing, there was evidence that was released also inappropriately, and it favored Courtney Clenney's defense. And so they're making it a point in this motion, they're highlighting that it was her phone, which they got information from. The extraction of Miss Courtney Clenney's mobile phone. Understanding that this would be for a search involving the physical phone, undersigned counsel gave his name, his paralegal, and investigator. No mention was made of Miss Puglisi or Miss 𝗟𝗏𝗄𝗏 as Miss Clenney's attorneys because there was no communications with Miss Clenney that would be on her physical phone. Neither law enforcement nor the state attorney's office requested the names of individuals subject to privilege for the iCloud of Courtney Clenney or her parents pertaining to a time period after the incarceration of Miss Clenney. No filter protocol was established to prevent the review of attorney-client or work product privileged communications. So there's a process that law enforcement professionals go through where they have stuff filtered, and they have people who do that for them. So that's basically what they're hinting at here. And it says prevent the review of attorney-client or work privileged information. So that's clearly what they're stating has been violated. And it says, consequently, privileged communications were reviewed by law enforcement and the state attorney's office. Attorney State Assistant, ASA, Khalil Quinan conducted a search of the iCloud accounts and discovered the Team Courtney communications, the group chat. The content of Team Courtney chat involved discussions regarding all matters related to Courtney Clenney's case, including communications regarding case investigation, witness testimony, defense witnesses, expert witnesses, financial obligations, defense theories, counsel's thoughts and impressions, and opinions on the case. These were communications that the parties believed to be private and privileged. It's a big deal. If you think about it, I know, like, just reading over the document, and like, I know the case is hard. It gets lost in translation with all the other cases going on. But it's like, let's remember, Christian 𝗵𝗡𝐿 died to a stabbing to his basically chest, bled to death. Courtney Clenney claims it's self-defense. We have seen the body cam footage. We know, make your opinion however you want and however it may be. I respect it 100%. But my question, the big thing for me here is, if it was my case, I would want to make sure that the prosecuting attorney is legitimate, right? We don't want to see corrupted professionals in the court. It's not us, but one day it could be us, right? Essentially, or someone, or a loved one. We've all been there. So it's like, in a court system, whatever it is, it may be. And so I feel like it's a big deal in a murder case. They're not asking, like I said at the beginning, they're not asking for the case to be dismissed, but they're asking for the prosecution team and prosecuting attorney, state attorney, to be dismissed, which is a third win for the Courtney Clenney defense team. They won the tampering with evidence. The charges got dropped with her parents and her. And then in September 11th, there was another incident where evidence was dismissed from the case. And now we're seeing this. So that's 3 times. Like I said, if you have a solid case as a prosecuting attorney, why would you risk it all? Hello, Dumplin. Good to see you, my love. Thank you for being here. Okay, yeah, I'll message you. I'll message you, but I am so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's see. On June 26, 2024, the court entered an order granting a motion to exclude and or suppress filed and case numbers, etc. B and C. The order found that the communications reviewed by the ASAs and law enforcement were privileged as attorney-client and or work product communications. On August 20th, 2024, the defense filed a motion to disqualify the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. The general basis for the motion to disqualify is the state attorney's office access to privileged information, which is attorney-client and work product. ASA Quinan's positions and pleadings and during hearings has been that he only saw the one text communication regarding the laptop that he immediately ceased review of the records and did not review anything additional. So if you haven't been following the case, you must know that this prosecuting attorney for the state and the prosecution has said that he only saw one text message in the prior incident where information was leaked. And so now Courtney Clenney's defense team is like, no, you didn't. Now we have proof that you did it again. And it's like, the whole thing is like, oops. How do you just send an email to the wrong people? It's states, it's privileged. And how do you accidentally send that information? My question. So that's basically what the defense is saying as well. They're like, that wasn't an accident, you know? They are still claiming self-defense, but I think her attorneys are doing a very good job in finding all these little things that where they're violating. And like, my thing is, any regular person, like some person, basic people like us, me and you, I'm not saying that everyone is basic, but like for me, if you were going to go after, this takes a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, Courtney Clenney is an OnlyFans model making $3 million a year. So of course she's going to go and have a lawyer find these types of things that are small holes in the case, but that could be major, right? To the end of the climax of her being arrested and charged. And for like people who don't have these resources, it's like, oh, so 𝗟𝗏 in the system can get away with things like this with people who don't and can't fight things like this and pursue things like this. And that's why I'm talking about it, because it's like, not everyone has $1 million to go and get a lawyer to look into these little things that where they can find an error and could essentially this case be dropped. I mean, it's the third time that they make a mistake in her case. I don't know. Maybe it was self-defense. Maybe they'll say it was self-defense and want to end it because, you know, they've already been held up 3 times. So my point is, the resources she has do enable her to do these kinds of things. But like, also, if not, how is that fair to everyone else? Like, was this prosecutor shady in other cases, you know, that people didn't look into or follow through, or, you know, their attorneys, et cetera, et cetera? Like, you never know. So anyways, I'm just ranting, but hey, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗲, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Let's move on. ASA, oh yeah, the laptop. ASA Quinan's positions and pleadings and during hearings has been that he only saw one text, according to the laptop information from Christian and 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲. So her parents were being charged for basically talking to Courtney Clenney on the phone in jail and trying to break, quote unquote, break into or hack into his computer. But those charges ended up being dropped. And now we're back here with a new motion in December. So the defense recently became aware that Mr. Quinan, the prosecuting attorney, through his review of the iCloud account belonging to Deborah Clenney, her mom, accessed an email dated December 22nd, 2022 from undersigned counsel Sabrina Puglisi to Frank Prieto, which is the attorney, Diane Karaman's attorney, in Manuel Riccio, Pamela Coravin, and Kim and Deborah Clenney. The subject of the email was, quote unquote, update, and the attachment was titled Courtney Checklist of Things to Do, Privileged Doc. In order to review the attachment, ASA Quinan was required to manually click on the document to open. So the defense bolds this again because the information was titled privileged. So it should have only gone to specific people, which is why we're here talking about this, and the motion has been filed. And again, how do you accidentally attach a document? You and I, as human beings, and we send docs all the time. How do you accidentally do that? Was it possible? Maybe. Like, I could see myself sending an email and like attaching the wrong document. So I guess I can, but factors matter. And I think if I was a prosecuting district attorney, privileged information. I mean, I don't know. You would be a little more careful. Anyways, they end up finding out that it was intentional, essentially. Yeah, I know. The attachment consists of 20 bullet points of things the defense needs to do in the case to prepare for trial, to include experts, to retain legal research for motions in limine, witnesses to investigation, etc. While some of the items have been filed and are public, there are other items that have not been made public and are for trial. The email with attachment searched by ASA Quinan was forwarded to Detective Adrian Perez at etc. There's an email here. By Mr. Quinan, it is the defense understanding that the resulting documents from any Chapter 119 request made to the state attorney's office in any specific case is sent to the assigned prosecutors. This would mean that ASA Kathleen Hogue and ASA Sean Abuhoff have since received a copy of the email titled my dyslexia, of the email titled Courtney Checklist of Things to Do Privilege Doc that was accessed and forwarded to law enforcement by ASA Quinan. Detective Perez and Detective Cremicini were deposed in the matter with regard to their knowledge of the iCloud warrants and the data provided to the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office that included attorney-client privileged materials and work product privileged materials. Pause. So it says, Detective Perez and Detective Cremicini were deposed in this matter with regard to their knowledge of the iCloud warrants. So we saw that in the hearing. So we know that they have been looked into back then. Oops. Like I just sent the wrong attachment to like 10 different people. Oops. Accident? It happens, but everybody's like, well, what am I sending? No, absolutely. I mean, like accidents happen, but I don't know. I don't think this is an accident. Their testimony is clear that ASA Quinan had unfettered access to the data, materials, and privileged materials. Their testimony further reveals that ASA Quinan is the only individual who can testify to what materials were reviewed. Okay, so now we're getting into the transcript of the information that they're using against the prosecution. So it says, Quinan, which is the ASA, yeah, you originally said messages is what he said. He discovered messages, but then you used the word quote unquote message. He saw a message with 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗲. I just want to make sure I'm clear as to what exactly he saw or he told you he saw. Detective Perez responds. These are text messages, by the way. Detective Perez responds, so first of all, I can't say exactly what he saw or didn't see. All I can say is what was presented to me. And what was presented to me was one particular message that had the name 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗲 and laptop in it. So it had both of these messages in it. I don't remember if it was one message back to back or if it was the same message. I can't. We aren't talking about a long time. We are talking about a long time ago, so I can't really specify that. Prosecuting Attorney Quinan questions, did he tell you what all he looked at as he was doing his investigation? Detective Adrian Perez says, no, he did not. And Detective Adrian Perez is who the information got quote unquote leaked to from the prosecuting attorney's office. Quinan responds with, were you present while he conducted any kind of investigation? Detective Perez responds, no. Quinan responds with, can you say whether he reviewed the entire text communication that you observed? And then Detective Adrian Perez responds, no, I cannot say that. And then Quinan responds, do you know whether we are referring to Mr. Quinan for all of these past questions on the follow-up one? Oh, I'm sorry. That's a question, not Detective Quinan. And then it says, Deposition of Detective Perez, pages 18 through 19. Did he say how he came to the messages? You said he gave you some background on how he came to the messages. How did he say that? And he says no. He didn't specify no. So you don't know how he conducted an investigation or how he came upon the message. Detective responds with no, I wasn't there. But he didn't explain it to you either. And the detective responds no. So then the deposition of Detective 𝗵𝗏 on page 20 states, what specifically did he tell you about that? And then the response is that the topic of the attorney-client privilege had come up and that he did not apply to the particular case. So basically the state prosecuting attorney is asking the detective what came of and giving him information, vice versa, on the interrogation and the text messages and the computer information. Did he give any specifics as to whom he met or discussed this matter with in his office? Detective says no. Did he tell you that he also discussed the matter with any defense counsel? The answer is no. Page 21. Question. I just want to make sure it is clear with respect to the referral that you received. Do you have any knowledge that anyone other than Mr. Quinan is the one who found the text communication or the written communication? Detective responds with, I don't have any knowledge as to who found what. No. Question. No. My question specifically is, you can see he did something more than just review that one written communication, right? You can see he also searched emails. And the detective responds with, I don't know if emails were searched. I don't know where that came from. Question. Fair enough. You know that he provided you with an email? Detective responds with, yes. Question. You don't know where he got that email? Detective responds with, no, I don't know. No. The question is, you don't know whether he conducted any kind of search, right? The response is, I don't know. You don't know how he conducted the search? No response. If he conducted a search, you don't know how it was done? Detective responds with, no. You don't know if he spoke to anyone in his office about any search he conducted on his own? Detective says, about a search? No, I don't know. You don't know if he shared any of the results of any of his findings with anyone in his office? Answer is no. My understanding is he did confer with his team, whoever that is, I don't know, to make sure it was not a case of privileged information, at which point they made the referral to us. So he did confirm to a certain extent. I don't know specifics as to how that happened. Question, you don't know what he would have told them? Answer, no. Or that he might have showed them? Answer, no. Deposition again on page 38 through 39. So basically we're rereading the deposition of the transcript from the previous hearing. So I know if you haven't been following that case, that might be a little confusing. So the answer, responses from detective, I don't recall that email, no. Okay, so up until that date, the only thing on the 27th you saw that you recall are 2 reports? Answer, yes. Okay, and so you don't know whether he actually stopped conducting an analysis or not, right? I mean, no, I'm not with him, so no, I don't know. I don't know what he did. And you don't know when he uncovered that email from myself to Deborah Clenney? I don't know. And who gave you the opinion that it wasn't privileged? ASA Quinan. So the detective is basically throwing the prosecuting attorney under the bus. He's giving him names. He's like, here you go. Here's who told me what to do and what to say, basically. That's crazy. And when you received that information, do you know when he started looking at it? No, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine somewhat around the same time. Do you know what kind of searches he performed? Response, no. Do you know what he was able to uncover? Response, no. Did he ever have any communication with him about the contents of the messages? What messages? We move on to the next page. Okay, so you can't say what files he opened. Response, no. You can't say what folders Khalil Quinan opened. Detective responds, I mean, I can logically, obviously there was a case that came as a result of it. So I would imagine that anything that was discovered is what I guess presented in that case. Question, okay, so you it would seem logical that he would have looked at some things, right? The responses, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a case that came. This laptop case stemmed from something from the iClouds. Is that, or am I mistaken? Question, no, you are correct. You just don't know exactly all of what Khalil Quinan would have looked at. Is that fair to say? Response from the detective, I mean, I would logically imagine that anything that was looked at is what was included in the case. I am more concerned about the privileged materials he looked at that was not part of the case. Mr. Quinan, object to form. So in the hearing, through this transcript, we see that the person being accused, the detective or the state or prosecuting attorney, Khalil Quinan, he's in the courtroom as this is happening. So the detective is basically saying, yes, we worked, like I gave him this information and he gave me information, back and forth, etc. And Mr. Quinan is sitting in the courtroom as this is going on. And then Ms. Puglisi, which is one of the attorneys on Courtney's team, says, so my question is, you don't know all of what he looked at, right? And the response from the detective is, no, I don't have a list. So then this is a deposition from Detective Cremenzini. I know it's, oh, Bumba, thank you for gifting. Bumba, and I appreciate you. Hello, Brady. I know I got so involved in the document. Hello, I'm so happy to see you, beautiful Brady. Thank you for being here. And Bumba, thank you for gifting. I appreciate and love you. Thank you so much. I know it's a little confusing, right? Because we're reading a transcript from the detective and the prosecuting attorney, Khalil Quinan, in the new motion. So it's like we're reading a document within a document. So it's a little confusing, but essentially, if you're following, you know that the prosecuting attorney basically wasn't supposed to be communicating with this detective who just not threw him under the bus, but is essentially telling the truth if you swear to oath that you would tell the truth. So I don't know. It's drama. Okay, so question to the detective is, do you have any personal information about whether any prosecutors in this case, Sean Abuhoff or Kathleen Hogue, did any searches from the iCloud return? Answer, no, none of that I'm aware of. Question, do you know whether Khalil Quinan had any communications with anyone in his office regarding what he discovered from the iCloud returns? Answer, yeah. I mean, I believe generally that that obviously is what led to the laptop or computer case. Question, okay, were you though present? You don't have any personal knowledge as far as being present for any of this communications, right? Detective responds with, I was not present, no. Okay, so is it fair to say that you believe communications obviously took place, but you can't speak to what exactly was said? And the detective says, correct. So the argument from Courtney Clenney's defense team is, taking the deposition of opposing counsel in a pending case is an extraordinary step which will be rarely justified. State versus Donaldson. And then it lists a bunch of state codes. However, the prosecutors do not stand immune from discovery. In the rare case in which the defense believes it has basis for taking the prosecutor's deposition, the defense must first exhaust less intrusive discovery methods and then making a showing of necessity and materiality, and that the interests of the justice require the extraordinary step. So, like I said at the beginning, this is huge. To depose and ask for a whole prosecution team to be removed from a murder case so highly publicized, it's a big deal. Like they're saying, it's an extraordinary step. I think it would favor Courtney in the long run. It goes back to, do you believe she's guilty? Do you believe it was self-defense? If you don't follow the case, maybe you should before you give an opinion on this. It's kind of hard to give it like an actual opinion if you didn't watch the case, because I feel like you need to watch from the beginning in the murder scene, which we have covered on my live before, to the hearing where her parents get arrested and then the charges get dropped, and now we're here. So it's kind of like you have to follow it all the way through to have an opinion, but you can always have an opinion. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but nonetheless, she's guilty AF. Hey girl, good to see you, Alexandria. Yeah, I think she's guilty AF too. They obviously looked at everything, but they shouldn't have. Huge was right, bun. But this is what's gonna like make or break the case, right? Like this is the third time that her defense team wins with the system messing up. The first time was with them accessing 𝗪𝗻𝐶𝐿𝐼's laptop, which was considered tampering. They arrested her parents and were going to charge her with a felony. And then that ended up being dropped because they found out that the means to that information was shady, if you ask me. Then in September, again, it comes up with data from the iCloud again, and now we're here. And it just doesn't make the prosecution team look good, right? And so if she's guilty, then and the case is that solid, why would you play dirty? I don't know. It just seems like, why would you do that? Why would you risk it? Why would you help benefit her if you thought she was guilty? And the body cam footage, in my opinion, says a lot for itself. Go watch it. Go watch my previous live. I will link it and make sure you get this. It jumps forward to that, but there's body cam footage and you can actually see the crime scene. Make of it what you will. It's domestic violence all across the board. I think they were both guilty. Rest in peace, Christian 𝗪𝗻𝐶𝐿𝐼. But I think it takes two to tango in a violent relationship like that. We don't see him being violent. Do I think it's not possible? That's a whole nother conversation, right? But anyways, let's get back to the document and then we can touch back on that. On showing of materiality, the court may require such discovery to the other parties as justice may require. Here, this court has already ruled that the materials reviewed by the state constituted work product and or attorney-client privilege materials. That ruling was based upon the knowledge that one text communication was searched. Had the email with an attachment titled, quote unquote, Courtney checklist of things to do, privilege doc, not been disclosed to third party during a Chapter 119 request, it is unknown if the defense would have learned that ASA Quinan, at the very least, has seen the defense strategy in the case. The full nature and extent of the invasion of the defense camp is unknown and must be determined for this court to rule on the defendant's motion to disqualify Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. The above deposition experts make clear that Attorney State Assistant Khalil Quinan is the witness with the most or the only knowledge of what privilege materials were reviewed by the government. That's major. He's the one that has the most knowledge of the case. The depositions of Detective Perez and Cremicini were the least intrusive discovery methods to determine the extent of the breach, but had yielded no results. The interests of justice now require the extraordinary step of taking the deposition of ASA Quinan. ASA Quinan testimony on the subject is necessary and material to the continued preparation of Ms. Clenney, specifically as it relates to the motion to disqualify the Miami State's Attorney's Office. The interests of justice require the court to allow the defense to make the deposition of ASA Quinan as it relates to his review of the privileged materials and invasion of the defense camp. Conclusion. Based on the sworn testimony of the detectives above, ASA Quinan's own false statements in open court indicating that he only reviewed one text message and his subsequent review of the privileged defense emails, the interests of justice require that he be deposed on these issues. His testimony on these matters is critical to the court's determination of the motion to disqualify the prosecution team and the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. Wherefore, the defendant, Courtney Clenney, respectfully requests that this honorable court enter an order compelling the deposition of Assistant State Attorney Khalil Quinan. I certify that on December 5th, 2024, I electronically filed the foregoing document. Frank Prieto. So they want to hear from the prosecuting attorney as to why you were relating privileged information. She's guilty after. I hate playing the race card, but from where they treated her, she wasn't treated like a martyr. They were nice to her. It took them 3 months. Yeah, she was in Hawaii when they arrested her. People in the building across the street claim they saw him hit her. I don't believe he hit her. I think she was the aggressor. I think she's got anger problems and is mentally unstable. I agree with that, a lot of that. But that's not an excuse for what she did. Right. And it's not an excuse for the prosecuting team to be like sharing text messages and like privy information, right? That's like, she certainly has good representation. I agree, Emery. And that's, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, is like, not everyone has the resources to like nitpick everything in the case, you know, like, and Courtney's clearly trying to get like an easier sentence, et cetera, allegedly, in my opinion. But I feel like they messed up. That's like a big mistake. You don't send privileged information, you know. I don't think it will get, I think it's obvious what I think. I think the body cam footage says it all. Like Alexandria just said, we don't know if it was like we don't have other footage where he's putting hands on her, but we hear it, right? And like, but we do have her on body cam footage. So it's almost like, I don't know. I feel like it could essentially help her in the long run with them messing up on like the text messages and the privy information. But I don't know. I just wanted to read that document. I think it's important. Her trial will be coming up, I think January or February of 2025. And I think it's been quiet because I think they've been dealing with this. I think the prosecution and the defense have been going at it. There was obviously a hearing already regarding this privileged information. So clearly it's been, the defense is waiting for the attorney to be deposed, which means he will go into a courtroom, and that's when you have like the information being looked at and he's being questioned, and it's going to play a role into the trial in the case, essentially. So is that being televised? Yeah, I think it will be televised. I will definitely be covering it here, maybe not live, but I will definitely be covering it. Like I said, I've been covering the Courtney Clenney case. I do have her body cam footage and the crime scene, etc. In my previous lives. So make sure you go watch those. I will continue to follow her. I do think, in my opinion, Melly's opinion is, I do think she's very unstable and had mental health problems. I do think that the OnlyFans, the money, all of it plays a role in it as well, which I could see why she was a flight risk. I don't think that this is going to help the prosecution. Clearly, I think it's going to help Courtney's team. At the end of the day, it's going to go to trial, and we're going to wait and see what the jury thinks of it. But do you think it was self-defense? I'm curious. Yeah, I hope so too. But again, it'll all depend on how things get done, right? So anyways, but yeah, I think this case is very important to talk about. I know it stays quiet because there's other cases that are so high, you know, like high in the YouTube streets, but I've always thought this was a very important one. And I think that most people don't like to talk about being in a toxic relationship, and that's kind of hard, but it's more common than we think. And most of us have been in a toxic relationship. In my opinion, she's guilty for sure. Bubman says, yeah. I think so too. This is a good reminder that if you're in a toxic relationship, leave. Okay, so there's another case that I want to cover with celebrities and be in a toxic relationship. I don't know. Are you guys into that like vibe? I'm curious because I really want to cover that, because I think like in these toxic relationships, it essentially leads to an unaliving, right? Like we see it with the 𝗵𝗵𝗸𝗲 case. We saw it with this case, Ashley Benefield. Like I feel like domestic violence, if not stopped or etc., whatever. It could possibly lead to like people losing their life due to like mental health issues and domestic violence, etc. All of the above mixed together, right? So I feel like when we see on YouTube, like there's a case I want to cover. I don't want to say anything on who it is yet, just because you know how the YouTube streets are. But it's two celebrities and they have like a toxic relationship, and there's a bunch of like body cam footage on it. And I want to cover it because I feel like, sure, they're celebrities, but this leads to like people killing each other, and like this domestic violence, toxic, narcissistic pattern leads to nothing but good things, right? And so I feel like it's important to cover those cases, even if it is celebrities. And then I also have a new case. There's two cases that I'm going to be talking about in between. So we're going to cover Jamie Komorowski calls. And in the middle of me covering another series, which you will see tomorrow, you will see part 1 and part 2 scheduled. We're going to start covering it. There's 5 parts, but in between that series, little mini series, we're going to cover Jamie Komorowski. And then there's 2 other cases that I have recently been recommended to cover. So we're going to cover like random true crime cases in between the Jamie calls and in between a different case. So just stay tuned. We're still covering Jamie Komorowski calls. And then I'm going to start a new series, which is going to be 5 episodes. And we're going to cover the case all the way through. I got all the documents, etc. So I want to make sure that it is a case that I talk about and cover, as it will be going to trial as well soon. So nonetheless, I'm done rambling. I'm just sitting here telling you guys, I'm like my little planner of true crime. I like having these like random conversations, which I did want to say tomorrow night, we will be doing like a little members live vertical short type of thing. We're going to feel it out. But what was that guy's name who was a college football player and killed over his girlfriend? I forgot his name. I don't know, but I want to cover the Aaron Hernandez case. If you're not familiar with that, I want to cover that. But which one are you talking about? Is that the one you're talking about? I don't think so, because this one's a really old one. But I love to hear what you guys want me to cover, because I don't like, I know it's hard. It's hard. Okay, I'm going to vent. So like, it's hard to cover cases on YouTube because if you're not in the algorithm, YouTube just doesn't give a shit about you. Like they're like, you're not covering what everyone else in the world is, so we're not going to include you in the algorithm. And it's like really messed up. You know, I feel like YouTube is kind of like, I don't want to use the D word, but I feel like even if you're not talking about the case that's in the news right off the bat, like the Luigi case, Sebastian Rogers case, like if it's not like in the media and causing a lot of drama, I feel like it's not included into the algorithm, and that like hurts my feelings. It really does. I'm like, there's so many cases that are not in the algorithm that need to be in the algorithm and need to be talked about. That's just my opinion only. But I'm going to be covering some cases from Australia that I have recommended. And I'm going to be covering like smaller cases that not everybody hears about, but I think they need awareness. And so like, I don't know, they probably don't push me into the algorithm because they're like, well, he's not talking about, you know, Luigi and Matty Soto. And there's reasons why I don't talk about specific cases. But nonetheless, what I'm trying to get at is all the cases are covered are legit. They're recommended to me. You can let me know what you think and what you want me to cover. I try to look up all legal documents before I cover them. I try to make sure they're legit. I get my own content and I try to find original content, and I don't copy anyone's anything. So I try to be just original on my channel. That means that I have to work a little harder, like so be it, right? We'll work a little harder, but cover what you want. Thank you. Thank you. Bumban said the same thing, like cover what you want. You guys know me, you know, you support me, but my thing is like, I never want to, I just want to come up with cases that need to be talked about, and I'm not just here to like fit in the algorithm. Like I actually really love true crime. And so basically that's what I'm trying to get at is like I appreciate everyone who supports my channel and is here. And if a case you cover takes a while, right, Bun Bun, that's my point. I know. And it's hard, you know, because it's like today I was at work all day and like I've been at work all day lately and I got a really, you know, great opportunity in my personal life. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to take advantage of that. I really am. I have to. And so like, I see all these people like posting like the same thing all day long. And it's like, that's fine. I want to post it too. I want to talk about 𝗪𝐸ITG. I want to know what you guys think about 𝗪𝐸ITG because I have a lot to say about 𝗪𝐸ITG. And that's the CEO case, the United Healthcare. But I have a lot to say on the other end of it, right? I work in healthcare. So like, I'm like, girl, I'm like taking notes at work. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But I have worked with United Healthcare very much so in the past. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that like, I appreciate you guys for being here at my channel and supporting me in the cases that I cover and like, the Rudolph case. Okay, I'll look into it. I have a list, girl. Like, I have a list. I've been like, I have notes on all of these cases. Some are taking me a little bit longer, but I am covering everything everyone recommends. Like I said, I do it all myself though. And so I like to like research by myself, do it all by myself. Because if I'm going to be talking about it, why would I want like people doing the research for me or like trying to put that all on my mods or like, I don't know. I just feel like I kind of want to know what I'm talking about up here and like actually know the facts of the case. And if you follow my channel, you know I like to cover legal documents. So I try to get legal documents for everything, hence why sometimes it takes me a little bit to talk about cases. But please subscribe, turn on your notifications. Tomorrow we will be covering 𝗟𝗡. I want to cover a few more things with her before I just cut her off. I think like pause from 𝗟𝗡. She got, you know, she's in jail for life now. That's her bad. She didn't take the plea that they give her before, but nonetheless, we're going to do one more live on 𝗟𝗡 until other stuff happens. And then I'm going to be covering Jamie Komorowski calls, which I did receive and pay for myself through FOIA myself. So I have the rights to play the calls from phone calls. They allow me. I mod for them. They're great. I love, love, love them. I go follow them. If you haven't already, please do so. And then I have a new case. Like I said, we're going to be covering in 5 parts and that'll start this weekend. And I'm very, very excited about it. I hope you guys are around. I have a lot of legal documents and I feel that I have done my research for this case that I'm going to be speaking about for the next few days. It's really good. And we will see it go to trial in early of 2025, as well as with the Courtney Clenney case. Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Looney Boon. Take your time, right? And that's the thing. It's like, it's hard to be like, I feel like it's hard to be original and like just find genuine people on YouTube. And like, we know me from being like 𝗏𝗏melly before and then jumping into my channel. So those of you who have been here from the beginning, I love you guys. Like, it means so much, but nonetheless, it's hard. And so I really try to do my own thing on my channel. So like, when I can tell that someone's playing dirty, I'm like, this isn't about me though. This is about Courtney Clenney. But tomorrow I want to do a live, like a short live, whatever you call it, like vertical. We're going to do that. We're going to get down and dirty. So tomorrow evening when I get off work, we're just going to have like a little chit chat, like a little catch up, like a little no cases, just like share your feelings. Tell me what's up. I'll tell you what's up. We can have a little like moment, you know, and it doesn't have to be specifically on one case, but I like to be respectful when I say like I do a live about one case. I want to come up here and talk about it and like end it appropriately. And then, you know, we can have a 𝗪𝐿𝑖 after dark conversation on another live. So with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow night. I know I didn't go live last night, but I really was excited. I got a docket, like all of the documents, like all of them for the case that I'm going to be talking about in the next few days. And like when you get just like all of the documents for one case, it's like, I have to just cover it. It's so good. It's so good. And it's a case very well known. I'm not going to tell you yet, but maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys. And then Friday I'll start the series. That's going to be parts 1 through 5. kind of like the Ashley case that I covered prior. It was my very first case on my channel. If you guys didn't watch it, 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 case, please go support. I'm very passionate. I love that case. We were going to continue talking about Ashley. I haven't covered her and as of the last 2 months, but that was the first series that I covered on my channel. And it's very, very important to me. It's very, if I'm still alive and well, then I would love to be present at that parole hearing. I stand by for Ashley. I love her family, all of the above. So if you didn't go watch that series, please go watch it. It's going to be kind of like how I cover the next case. So tomorrow, Sarah Boone, Looney Boone, and then we're going to cover a new case. In the middle of it, we're going to see Jamie Komorowski, and then a few other cases that I have not seen been talked about very much on the YouTubes. So I appreciate you guys all for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. Yeah, I'll have to, I love when you guys recommend, like Bun just gave me a recommendation to a really good case that I want to cover. So I'm going to be covering that. And then Gracie gave me one too that I'm looking into. There's a couple of my other mods that add Travis Randolph. Okay, let me write this down. Because like if I don't write it down, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Girl, my brain lately is like, we just need a Melly After Dark. We're doing it tomorrow. It's not like the same. It's not going to be the same vibe. I'm not going to do like a live Melly After Dark, but we're going to do a live short Melly After Dark. So make sure you subscribe tomorrow, because that's where we're going to start to get freaky, you know, like real freaky. If you know, you know. I know some of you who know me are like, every time I get freaky on the YouTubes, it creates some drama. Melly, I didn't know you had a channel, and this somehow got into my algorithm. Yay! I guess YouTube heard my words today. I was just talking about how I don't get into the algorithm because I'm not trying to be like everyone else on YouTube and put out like the same content. I want it to be very much unique. I respect everyone on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. There's so many channels I will talk highly of. But for me, like, I want it to very much fit my personality. And I'm very all over the place. So bring snacks and drinks. Yes. Tomorrow evening, when I get off work, I'm going to have a michelada, and then I'm going to come home and we're going to have a little live. And then we'll cover Looney Boone after. So anyways, I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm just rambling now, just hanging out with you guys, rambling. You're like, this has nothing to do with Courtney Clenney. I was going to play the hearing, but I was like, you know what? Whatever. I just want to have a good time. It's my channel. I do what I want. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The vibes. Like, wait, who are you talking about, Michelle? Oh, okay. They converted a small bus to van. He killed his wife in the first trip. Wait, I think I saw something about this. Okay, I'll need to follow up. Yes, Bun. If you share and spread the word. Exactly. Thank you, Melly. Thank you, Emery. Okay, yeah, wait, let me know about these cases, please. If I don't see it in the chat, because I'm up here like just blabbing away, either drop it in the comments, do it in my Discord. Sometimes I've been having a problem with Discord messages lately, but if you comment, I will always either like I'll give you my number or my email, or like we'll go from there. But I always like to know what cases you guys want me to cover. And just know you can always reach out to me via email too. That's a good one actually, because I just updated my email on my About Me, so it should come to my personal email. So we just need a Melly After. Okay, come back tomorrow evening, Michelle. We're gonna do a little Melly After Dark, just not like in a live version, but it's still live. So I'm not gonna, you know, like YouTube's doing the vertical thing. So I'm gonna do that because it's supposed to help get in the algorithm. And girl, hey Lily Lore. We're just rambling now, Lily. I'm like, I might edit this out later because I'm supposed to be talking about Courtney Clenney, but it turned into like a little Melly Rambles. You know how it is. You know how I am. Joseph Ferlazzo. Okay. Okay. So I'll keep those in mind. I do always need new cases to cover that are like not well known. So I will look into that one. And then the Travis Rudolph one, I'm going to look into tonight. And then, like I said, tomorrow we'll cover Looney Boone, Sarah Boone. And then Friday and the rest of the weekend, we're going to cover Jamie Komorowski calls and then a new case. Like I said, a new series, parts 1 through 5. Thank you, Bun Bun. I appreciate you. And so you've been here from the beginning. I can't even watch that trial. He makes me so mad. Okay. Canon, Christopher, and Christian Newsom. Okay. There's like, I have like 9 cases, not going to lie, that I'm going to try to cover in like the next 2 weeks. So, like I said, I try to cover cases that are not well known on YouTube. They're not very, like, if you were to search them, you don't find like a lot of smaller channels creating them. Like, okay, like Court TV and Law and Crime and like Vinny, my man Vinny, like that's all like, you know, they're bigger channels. And so I feel like I don't count them, but I like to see smaller channels covering cases that need awareness. And I do want to essentially touch on the Sebastian Rogers case. Oh no. Here we go. I know that community's tough, but I do think I want to talk about that case. But anyways, nonetheless, yes. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. I will see you guys tomorrow night. We will be doing a vertical live and then covering Sarah Looney Boone. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. I love Grizzly. She's actually a good friend of mine. I actually have a lot of respect for Grizzly. She is original. She's a badass. I'm like, should I talk some shit on here? No, I won't. We'll save that for tomorrow night. Anyways, it's all love. It's all love. You know me. I'm just messing around. But I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. And I will see you tomorrow evening. Bye.